Hi class, in this video we're going to talk about outliers and skew. And these top three pictures, you guys, these are box and whisker plots. We're actually going to get into those more in the next video, so don't worry too much about those right now. These are just picturing the different kinds of skew that we can have. So basically, there's some different ways to represent data, and we're going to get into those a little bit more later. But once I have all the data represented, what does it look like? And so here's an example of a histogram or a bar graph. Basically what we call something with a negative skew or a left skew is when the mean is less than the median. And it kind of has this tail, call this the tail, where the high point is kind of off to the right and the long tail is to the left. If there's no skew, we say that the distribution is symmetric, and basically the mean and the median are equal, and it's symmetric on either side of that high point, okay? Right skew is the opposite of left skew. We can also call that positive skew. And we have the long tail of the data off to the right where the mean is greater than the median, so we get kind of this high point on the left. So box and whisker plots, we'll, like I said, get into more of that later, but what's represented there is the median. So median is off to the right, median is off to the left. And so those have a similar representation to tell whether or not it's skewed left or right. Okay, so something that has no skew oftentimes is referred to as the normal distribution. So there's no skew, it's perfectly symmetrical, and the mean is exactly at the peak, okay, as is the median, okay? So again, here's another picture of the negative skew, and why we call it that is because that long tail that I talked about is on the negative side of the peak. The mean is also on the left side of the peak. Another picture for right skewed or positive skewed, and talking about why we call it that way. The long tail is scaled on the positive side of the peak, and the mean is also to the right of the peak. Okay, so we're going to be looking at this quite a bit over, especially these next two lessons, something called the 5-number summary. And so these are the 5 numbers that we want to find given some data. It's the minimum. Quartile 1 is what Q1 stands for. I'm going to spell that out. Quartile, or first quartile is another way we can talk about that. Q3 is the same exact thing, quartile 3 or third quartile. Okay, and so what are these things? We've already talked about, well, I think we can intuitively know what is the minimum, the smallest value, maximum is the largest value. Median, we talked about, is the middle value of a data set. So what are Q1 and Q3? Okay, so Q1 is the median of the lower half of the data, and we call that the lower quartile. Okay, the median, Q3 is the median of the upper half of the data, and we call that the upper quartile. Okay, we also will find this range, the IQR, which stands for interquartile range, and what that is it's the range of the middle 50% of the data. Okay, and so how we find that is we do Q3 minus Q1. We also have these things called fences, and these are going to help us find outliers, okay? And so something important to note here is that data points, we call this, the upper fence and the lower fence. So it's Q3 plus 1.5 of the IQR. Lower fence is Q1 minus 1.5 IQR. Data points that land exactly on the fences are not outliers. Okay, now let's talk more specifically about outliers. So outliers are any point that is more than 1.5 times the IQR above the upper fence, which remember is given to us as 1.5 plus Q3, okay? And then same thing, 1.5 times the IQR below the first quartile, that gives us the lower fence. So outliers are things that are outside those fences, above Q3, above the upper fence, I should say, and below the lower fence. Okay, so we're going to look at how do we find the 5-number summary. And so what they're asking us here to do, we're going to do 3 examples of this, you guys. This first example says we're going to find the 5-number summary and the mean, and then we're going to decide if there are any outliers, and we have to show how we know for sure they're outliers. Okay, I'm going to zoom in just a touch more here. All right. Okay, so when we do this by hand, especially, I'm going to do 2 examples by hand, you guys, and then I'm going to show you how to use a graphing calculator to calculate these as well. But we want to make sure that these are in order. So lowest to highest number is the easiest to work with. So here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 values. So my lowest number is 5. So remember, that's part of our 5-number summary is the minimum. We're going to find quartile 1, the median, quartile 3, and the max. And then that's the 5-number summary, but then they also asked us to find the mean. Remember, X bar is the symbol for that. Okay, so, and then we're going to determine if there's any outliers. So let's start here. So minimum is 5. This is nicely in order. Here is my max is 24. Okay, so there were 13 numbers. So the median, right, is the middle number. So if I go in 6 numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, then 10 has to be my median because now that's the 7th number and there's 6 on either side. So 10 is my median. Okay, so quartile 1 is the median of the lower half. Okay, so another name for the median too is the second quartile, okay? So the first quartile, okay, is the middle of the lower half. So I have 6 numbers in the lower half, so it's going to be halfway between those 3 and 3. So halfway between 7 and 8 is 7.5. So that is my first quartile, so 7.5. Okay. Third quartile is the median of the upper half. So again, there's 6 values, so halfway between the first 3 and the last 3. That is 18.5, so that's our third quartile. Okay, so, and then we're going to find, so we got our 5-number summary here. We're also going to find our mean. So remember, that means we're going to add all these values and then divide by how many there are. So in this case, 13. Okay, so I've got 5 plus 6 plus 7 plus 8 plus 9 plus 9, 10 plus 18, 19, 20, and 24. Okay, add all those numbers together, divide by 13, 12.38 approximately. So our mean is about, I'm going to change those to the squiggle so we know we're estimating, but it is a close estimation. Okay, anytime I round, I can use that. Okay, all right, so there's our mean. All right, so the next piece we're asked to find is to determine if there are any outliers. Okay, so we need to calculate our upper and lower fence. So lower fence, remember my formula is up above right here. It says we're going to do Q1 minus 1.5 of IQR. So I actually should find my IQR first. So I'm actually going to do that. Okay, so IQR, remember, is Q3 minus Q1. So for us, that is 18.5 minus 7.5, which gives us 11. Okay, so my IQR is 11. So the lower and upper fence, we're going to use that number 11. So lower fence is Q1, which was 7.5, minus 1.5 times 11. Okay, so that's my lower fence. So we've got 7.5 minus 1.5 times 11. Negative 9. Okay, well, we have no negative numbers in the set, so we know that there's no numbers below negative 9. If I did have a number below negative 9, then that would be an outlier. It'd be outside the lower fence. Okay, so now let's look at upper fence. So upper fence is quartile 3, 18.5 plus 1.5 of the IQR, which is still 11. Okay, so we've got 18.5 plus 1.5 times 11. Okay, so my upper fence is 35. So do I have any numbers greater than 35 in this data? We don't, so that means there are no outliers. So outliers must be below the lower fence or above the upper fence. If we don't have any values below or above those two fences, then we don't have any outliers. Remember, if we had exactly on the fence, they're also not outliers. Okay, we're going to find that same number, 5-number summary for this next example. I'm going to save example 2, you guys. I'm going to show you how to do this one on a graphing calculator. So I'm going to skip to example 3. Okay, so same thing. Before I jump in, I would like to put this in order from least to greatest. Okay. All right, so 4 is the lowest number. And I'm going to cross them out as I go. Then 7. Then 10. Then 12. 13. 15, and 16. Okay, so I put them in order, so we're going to find those same 5-number summaries. So let's start with the easy ones. So we got our minimum is 4. We're looking for Q1, the median, Q3, and the max. The max we can see right away too, now that we put them in order, is 16. So here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 numbers. So 8 means I'm going to have 4 and 4 on each side. So my median is going to be exactly in the middle of those 8 numbers. So halfway between 12 and 13 is 12.5. Okay, Q1 is the median of the lower half. So I've got 4 numbers here. Halfway between 7 and 10 is going to be 8.5. And that's our quartile 1. Okay, quartile 3, halfway in the upper half. So halfway between those 4 numbers, halfway between 15 and 15 is still 15. So quartile 3 is 15. Okay, mean, right? Add all these numbers and then divide by 8. So we've got 4 plus 7, 10, 12, 13, 15, 15, 16. And then we had 8 of them. So my mean is 11.5. Okay, so there's my 5-number summary and my mean. Next, we're going to determine are there any outliers. So let's find the IQR first. So IQR Q3 minus Q1. Okay, 15 minus 8.5 gives us our IQR of 6.5. Okay, so now let's find our fences. Lower fence is Q1, put the numbers in here, Q1, so 8.5 minus 1.5 of the IQR, we just found 6.5. Upper fence is Q3 plus 1.5 of the IQR, 6.5. Okay, so let's go ahead and do some calculating. So lower fence, we had 8.5 minus 1.5 times 6.5. Okay, lower fence is negative 1.25. Upper fence is 24.75. Okay, so now do we have numbers below this in our data set and above this in our data set? So we don't. My minimum was 4, my max was 16. There's nothing outside this one, so this would be no outliers as well. Oh, spelled that backwards. Okay, so let's do example 2 now. So this one I'm not going to do by hand. I'm going to use a graphing calculator to show you how to do this. So this calculators are especially nice when I have a really large data set. There's 30 numbers in this one. And so our graphing calculators will actually calculate the 5-number summary for us. Okay, so how we do that, so I have a TI-84 Plus. All of your teachers have a few of these in your class that you can use in the room, or you can obviously always get your own too. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit this stat button right here, and I'm going to click on edit. Okay, so I've actually already entered these numbers in here, but basically what you do is you just type a number, 67, and hit enter. And you just keep going until you've entered all of them. Now, if there's already old numbers in here, how you do this is you go scroll up to where L1 or L2 is highlighted, hit clear enter, and it'll clear any old list that was in there. So under L1, I've got my full list. I've already entered mine in here. So again, how you enter that is you hit 67, enter, 66, enter, and just keep going. To get out of this, we hit second, and then there's quit right above mode. So that takes us back to just the calculator. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hit stat again, and I'm going to scroll over to calc. And we're just going to hit enter on this first one var stats. And hit enter, and then I'm going to scroll down to where it says calculate, and hit enter one more time. Okay, so it's going to give us a few different things. So the ones that we care about for the 5-number summary, and we're also asked to find the mean. They're giving me the mean right up front. So X bar, I know is the symbol for the mean. So that is 67.3. Okay, all right, so we want to find our 5-number summary, right? So we need the min. Put them in order here. Q1, the median, Q3, and the max. Okay, so I'm just going to scroll through this list and I'll find those other things. Okay, so right under n equals 30, n equals 30 means that there's 30 numbers. That's telling me how many I entered. So there's the min. So min is 61, Q1 66, median 67, Q3 68, max 78. Okay, all right, so the next thing I need to find is are there any outliers? So the calculator doesn't do this part for me, but they give me everything I need to be able to calculate it, okay? So we are going to, again, calculate the IQR to start. So now, because I got this from my calculator, 68 minus 66 is my IQR. Okay, so then I can find my fences. Lower fence is Q1 minus 1.5 the IQR. Upper fence is 68 plus 1.5 the IQR. Okay, so when I do those calculations, my lower fence is 63. Oh, what did I do there? Oh, we're good. I'm sorry. Okay. When I do this calculation, I get 71. So any numbers below 63 are an outlier, and any numbers above 71 are an outlier. So if we look at our list, anything below 63, we have one there. So 61 is an outlier, and anything above 71. Oh, 78. Okay, so those are both outliers. So when it says justify mathematically, this work is the justification, okay, why we know that. So anything below 63 is an outlier, anything above 71, we found 2 of those values, so they are outliers. All right, guys, that's all for this video. Thanks for watching.